It's like going back to an abusive lover at this point. Some true and tried Stockholm Syndrome shenanigans going on here. From the studio that brought you doing things over and over and over again for little to no gain, they've finally forged a masterclass formula that will have your little dick beaters trembling from excitement by doing things over and over and over again for little to no gain. Again. Todd, you magnificent bastard, you did it again. After 2 years, you finally squeezed Terran Armada out, and you nailed it. Seeing as we've gone over the main game before...
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, if you're new here, it's mandatory to watch all of that to understand anything going on here.
Okay. Bye.
I'm joking, don't give me any more conformity bias, or do. Up to you. Seeing as we've gone over all of Starfield and Shadow Space before, going through Terran Armada will strictly be going through or over what's new, no matter how awful or good everything is. And since the trilogy is finally coming to an end, or what I think will be a trilogy anyways, I have to again state that it is not that I particularly hate Starfield to my core. It's got to do more with the lackluster efforts, the lack of soul, and the very odd ways the studio is shifting. I don't know if I said it in the previous critiques, but at my core, behind all the frustrations and anger, I am a Bethesda fan. Someone who wouldn't sit down for hundreds of hours to create a 10-hour video and a companion piece spanning like 90 minutes. It's not rocket surgery to figure that out, but it had to be stated for the absolute brainlets in the crowd who think the critiques are coming from a deep hatred of Bethesda or Starfield as a product as a whole. It feels more like a disappointed parent seeing their child become like a prankster YouTuber and wondering if pulling out that belt once in a while wouldn't be so bad after all. Disappointment is the root of the hurt. And letting it fester for so long at this point, you have to wonder if it's time to cut off the pain or stick with it to perhaps see an upturn or let it drag you down into the depths itself. That sounded way more deep than it was intended, but here we are with modern day Bethesda. The Elder Scrolls 6 will be the deciding factor for many of us, and may God have mercy on us when it launches. The fact that the company is souring in front of our eyes as well obviously leaves a bad taste in people's mouths when, they release new products. It'll all be looked upon underneath a microscope because of their history now. Previous launches, previous updates, just anything they do is just awful. And it has to be looked at through like a magnifying glass because it's not great. Previous talent exposing the fact that the studio doesn't even have the technical know-how to even remaster an old title into their library. What? The absolute lack of acknowledgement to criticism and the continued trend of launching broken software, and it's just doing my head in. Their newly announced support for DLSS 5 is just the cherry on top of the moldy shit pile that they have going for them. Oh, and their desperate push for creations is selling as fixes to the problems they create for us is just chef's kiss. Oh, and look, their $10 paid DLC has a smaller section than the "and also" section of the grand update that included both Terran Armada and Free Lanes. And to not milk this magnificent, ongoing, and perplexing train wreck that is the Starfield product, or rather modern day Bethesda at this point, we'll just slam everything from the Terran Armada and Free Lanes and all the other changes made to the game itself into one video. Why not? It's not like Terran Armada has enough content to feed you guys this insatiable appetite for long format breakdowns and dead horse beating. So, we'll meet in the middle, where we'll all be equally disappointed. Speaking of disappointment, Terran Armada is an insult to whomever loyal bastard's been waiting for almost 2 whole years for anything worthwhile from Bethesda. You and me, bud. You and me. Stockholm Syndrome. Remember? To put the cherry on top, if you've been waiting for the PlayStation port, you'll have a rough time just getting the game to run for a decent amount of time before it crashes, and it'll plague your playthrough with that. It's baffling to me how you've had a game out since 2023, and you know the workings of the engine, the code, the product, and you still launch it for a new console 3 years later, and it can still barely run. It goes back to the suspicion that Bethesda just drops testing their builds before pushing them for launch, no matter the console. We've seen this numerous times in the past decade with the launch of 76, Fallout 76, Fallout 4 even. The original one, and let's not mention the anniversary editions or the next, the next gen editions of that game. We've seen it happen with Starfield and its poor optimization and performance in cities, and we're going to see it here as well. In normal little dungeons in Terran Armada. It's just baffling. How? How can the work be this unbalanced? How can the product launches still be this bad? Have they learned nothing? Hope is fleeting, my children. And Bethesda might be feeling the heat, or I hope they do, seeing as they didn't sell, blockbusters of the PlayStation platform. Damn. Without the aforementioned repeating content, I think we've got about an hour of worthwhile content to talk about. It's as if Bethesda had this 1 hour of content and wanted to stretch it out to 10. And sending the Spacefarer on a repeating cycle to infiltrate a ship 6 times over wasn't ever going to fix that. And somehow it's even more disappointing than Shattered Space. To me, at least. What? The few characters you interact with during this little whimper of a story has only a few minutes of screen time and have little to no time to shine, and the moral choice at the end is just a wet fart in the wind and has no consequences that I've seen yet. The brain-dead AI of enemies the next room over, not fathoming that you're slaughtering their entire ship, really shows how dull the game is when it comes to engaging enemies, how they've structured these dungeons, and also a major problem, as they act like a labyrinth that shifts around without any clear way of getting out, and it grows frustrating when the path you know is the way out has now shifted for no reason at all. The robots you're fighting are essentially just reskinned humans that don't do anything special when it comes to spicing up these fights. They do have like some resistances and stuff, but I never had to change my weapons up for this. I just like one-tap many of them. Games like Call of Duty, I'm gonna drag Call of Duty into this, have mostly human enemies, but at least they spice it up with some like drones, some tech or equipment like that you have to deal with. Not so much here, sadly. The firefights you're in are somewhat cool, and some of the locations are a step up from the other ones that you stumble over in the main game, but not great. The formula, the structure, the system Starfield rely on doesn't do it any service this time around. But if you love Starfield and its combat, you'll have a good time here, I suppose. In theory, and I guess in execution as well, this DLC is mainly glorified shooting gallery played out in randomly generated dungeons for you to test out some new weapons and armor and new upgrade systems, which is great, by the way. And the other stuff they've added to this update, and talking about it in abstract more than that is already proving difficult. So let's just get talk about the story, I suppose. What little is there. And I think you'll find this critique more milquetoast than the others in this Starfield trilogy. It's not that it's better than any other content already in the game, it's just that it's not worth talking about to the extent that I'd hoped. It's just more Starfield, but barely. And for good and bad, am I just saddened more than anything about all of this? Also, we're going to spoil the ever-loving shit out of this, and we'll also go about it non-linearly at points just to, well, prove some points, so that if you don't want spoilers, I mean, does anyone even care? Most of you won't even play this, let alone pay full attention if you do. Watch at your own peril. Also, it has to be mentioned that I have been recording this natively at ultra-wide, and I've had to squeeze it down because we did a little poll and people don't like ultra-wide, so I've been squeezing it, so if you see some weirdness at the corners, just let it be. I did my best. That's why you'll see, like, the screen is a little bit cut off sometimes. I've got no idea if I had an aneurysm while trying to get this DLC started, but there was absolutely no clear way of getting this shit started, so I had to consult the boss itself. The internet. And it seemed several others had the same problem, and after a few Reddit comments and a YouTube video later, we find ourselves at the SSNN broadcast device and listen to this breaking news.
The luxury liner Opulence of the Stars has been hijacked in the Nirvana system by a group calling themselves the Terran Armada.
You have forgotten who you are. We shall remind you. We are the Terran Armada. We are the true children of Earth. And none shall stand in our way.
So now we got a big bad. Except the big bad is an absolute joke when it comes to their purpose and origin. And to add insult to injury, we already had this storyline in the Freestar Rangers. Because what are they? The Terran Armada originated during the Colony War, when two opposing ships, one from United Colonies and one from the Freestar Collective, banded together and went off their merry way into the horizon, never to be heard from again, effectively creating a splinter group of the now two main factions of the Settle systems. Why? The only explanation we get is that they didn't like the war, so now they're waging war against everyone to unite them all under one banner. Seems about right. Bethesda writing strikes again. But again, people are crazy, so I guess this is possible, but it's very dumb. And guess what? There's a secret little organized group of people keeping track of these assholes called Void, veterans of interstellar deployments. And who are these clowns who hide in the shadows and try to erase any evidence of them and their terror acts? Well, none other than the United Colonies and the Freestar Collective and Ryujin Industries for some reason, for the sole purpose of just gathering intel on the other main factions, I assume. I mean, Ryujin Industries they're sly dogs. Exciting, right? Your pants must be flying off your balls right now with the excitement you're experiencing. It might be because this is kind of like the Crimson Fleet questline and the Freestar Collective one modeled together. Anyways, to get some insight, we join the search party for this Starliner, and we get locked into dialogue when we have to fight a small fucking army, but whatevs. Also, they have to fix, or at least tweak the damn talking over everything important always. God, it's enough to drive an honest Norwegian man to a drunken axe-murdering rampage. Not me, but someone, surely.
Welcome to the search party. My name's
Dad, do you think Solomon Coe would have liked me?
Sure. Everybody likes you, don't they?
Do you think he would have liked you?
Well, if you listen to your grandpa, Solomon Coe would have given me a good whooping. But I think he would have liked the man I grew into.
Don't I know it?
So, while testing out the new Freelanes cruise mode and then scouting a nearby asteroid field, we then find the lost little sheep and board. We're also spoiled on what to do as soon as we enter the ship with a classic Bethesda move. Remember the way they spoiled one of the coolest moments in the Crimson Fleet questline when you're about to be ambushed? Yeah, they threw the quest update on the screen before it even happens that you're being ambushed. What a joke. So now we're immediately told to restore power to the engineering bay without even knowing it needs power or what's wrong here. It's just a series of follow the quest marker without question. Except for when you really need it later on in the DLC when they fuck you over with the maces in the shooting galleries. We'll get there. So this ship was attacked by the Terran Armada. The ship is also mostly just a carbon copy of the Siren of the Stars from the Crimson Fleet questline, other than the final room you visit, which is just slightly boring, seeing as the rest of the DLC is visiting the same shit over and over again as well. I mean, the guy in charge of cost cutting at Bethesda must have a giant medal hanging around his neck at this point. At the end of the pretty entertaining shooting gallery at the end, we are, again, spoiled by the quest list. What scanner? Why would we do this? Why just enter the room? Why not just have a simple quest that states that you have to explore the room? This would fix it. I know this might be such a pet peeve, and I might be the only one that cares about this, but why? Why do this? Do the kids of today not care about, like, mystery? About the process of exploring on your own? To feel the high of unearthing something by yourself? Let's fight the sickness of quest marker fatigue together. Anyways, this is where we find Delta. And I'll be honest with you, and this will get some pitchfork sound, I don't like Delta. I do, but not really. He's kind of like a quippy Star Wars droid mixed with Legion from Mass Effect, and it's pretty annoying and overly computery, like he's a little shit kid. He seems to be a smash hit with many, and maybe I'll warm to him, but essentially, he's the runner-up to become your new companion after the main quest is completed. He is one of 3, by the way, that this update added. The others being that emo chick people have been simping over since the game launched, and the one waiting at Galbank in New Atlantis, and this little guy, Model Chi. Delta being the main one, though. I do feel like he's a proper robot and that he has some zest compared to the other main companions of the main game. But the bars were pretty low to begin with there anyways, as we all know. The game also pulls another Starborn here, this time about Delta. No one ever comments on him being a terrorist tool made for mass murder and control. The main story in Terran Armada stresses this once, but never by NPCs when wandering the streets with him. Not that I've heard anyways. Bethesda's bug. So we'll load this Terran Armada creation up with some code, and he says that his creator's mission is mandatory and we must do that. So we leave for his recovery mission and... Oh. Hi. This is the woman we talked about earlier, about the rescue mission. And we introduced ourselves as UC Vanguard, and now we do the same with the Freestar Rangers badge. And I'm surprised that they even had a comment for this combination of dialogue options, which is a warm welcome. Good. Good, I clapped. I stood up and clapped, people. Yamoya here stops to question us about why we're bringing this Terran clanker with us, and we settled the debate pretty quick. And she tells us to go see some interesting people who will want to know about this whole mess, and that's where Anchor Point comes into play. What is Anchor Point? It's a small space station situated in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, and it's a small bitch to get to. But once you get there, it acts as a hub for quests, trading, and the secret headquarters of Void. You remember Void, don't you? We already went over this, pay attention. Nah, I know you guys are paying attention. It's a quaint little place with a handful of quests and also some repeatable Terran Armada quests as well, which is, you know, they're whatever. More what you've already been doing in the main quest. But there are some that have some legs, and the station itself has character. I quite liked it and its inhabitants. There were some cool guys, some cool puzzles, and some cool secrets hidden about. Some more interesting than others. It's more of a dank, rankin', stanky version of a rundown biker bar, but somehow more inviting. There's even a quest here about getting blackout drunk and royally messing over a whole friend group's dynamic, which is awkward. There's a quest there to rummage around for a treasure hunt and clues being spoon-fed to you as you go, having to use your brain for a bit, which is nice. Probably the most positive thing about this DLC might be this place, which is pretty concerning, seeing as the whole thing isn't much in the grand scheme. But it feels like someone actually gave a shit when designing it, which goes a long way when it comes to Starfield. The bar is criminally low at that front. Before going there, we have to deal with an EMP attack that messes with the grav drive in our ship. They do that. That's what they do, the Terran Armada. So get ready to deal with that all the time. These situations are called incursions and will be the main thing you'll be fixing and combating. But if you love the gameplay of Starfield, then you'll cream your little shorts over this. Travel to destination, fight off the Terrans, set the places to self-destruct, and get the hell out of Dodge. The more stacked with powers, fun weapons, and the like you are, the more fun these situations will be. But for the non-sweaty gamers, or the casual ones, these will be pretty dull, all in all. For the ones that have really put their characters on some speed, or fine, Aurora, you can have some fun here. So, now I've explained the next 6 hours of content. Do with this information what you want. So after doing this thing to get to Anchor Point, we must get a ship that can travel at least 25 light years each jump, and after doing so, we get to the station. We're met with this abomination, which I love, I'll have you know, and I want him as a follower, but we're also met with a few quest givers and traders, and we've already talked about this, we already know what's going on in this place. We gain access to the secret little meeting spot in the back and meet the crew. Off topic, I absolutely love the voice of Oh my god. Oh my god. This is where I get cancelled. Shohreh Aghdashloo. There we go. Am I saying that right?
While I understand the politics, Mr. Warren understands the militant aspects.
The same way I absolutely adore Ralph Ineson's voice.
Leaving our country, kindred, our father's houses.
And that random voice actor from The Witcher 3, and that sounds scarily like him.
Heard you know where to find the local witch.
Who told you that?
Your wife.
Daft wench.
But I actually did some digging just now, and it seems to be this guy, Kevin Devine, which is an amazing name, by the way.
So you're on the verge of greatness there.
We're on the verge of greatness, yeah.
Fictional team.
Absolutely.
I guess I just have some thing for richly textured voices. Anyways, we blame them for hiding this Terran Armada from the public, and they're basically like, yeah, well, you know, sucks to suck, now do our bidding, because you're our slave. And timeline-wise, they've known about this since the start of the game takes place, if I'm not mistaken. So they've just been sitting on this info until I came along, the savior, the chosen one, like always, and I have to deal with all of it instead of, us sending a damn small army to wipe them off, from the settled systems. It would have been much cooler if that was the case, that you got a small team you can select, maybe inhabitants of Anchor Point even, or from your crew, anything. Creating a task force to do these dungeons in an all-out war, a small taste of what the colony war might have been like, all those years ago. There is one point at the end where I had some fun in terms of combat, but I'm just saying, it would have been cool. They have all these characters with their stats and shit. You can give them whatever weapons you want, armor, whatever you want. Why not make use of them? Why can I, as one person, go and kill a whole army? It doesn't feel right. I mean, it serves the power fantasy, but at what cost? The dissonance of the world and the lore and the gameplay is so weird. And like I said, wouldn't it be cool if we had like a team of 10? That would suffice. Just give us 10, and we can go and fight this Terran Armada in a full scale war. I know the engine probably can't handle more than 10 on each side. Skyrim, Civil War, I'm looking at you. Also, this is where they disclose the origin of the Terran Armada, about the 2 ships that went away and, formed their own alliance. It's pretty lackluster, origin-wise, seeing as most of the speculation and hope prior to launch was that they would be these people would be actual Terrans, earthbound, like an earthbound faction that had now finally reached the settled systems, kind of like the Paradiso quest, and wanted to wage war for some reason. But no, just another first, basically, from the Freestar Collective quest line. Anyways, we're sent to find the roboticist that created the Delta chip we inserted into our new Terran friend here, seeing as they want her because she's a valuable asset to them. So he kind of tracks down where we can locate her, and we're on our way to destroy 3 fucking randomly generated, or whatever the fuck, dungeons to get to the end and find their black boxes so we can get some more data. And if you're listening, you can't be having a great time right now. I'm boring myself. So we get these black boxes after several hours of grinding and then figure out where she is. This neat little mining asteroid location that I found very visually pleasing and interesting. Even the inside of it has some great stuff going on. We find Roxanne Burrow, I think that's how you pronounce that, hiding deep within the enemy lines, having been taken capture. She's the one that's programmed these guys to kill any human they see within the facility, and that's why we had to shoot our way in. But wouldn't that absolutely destroy any idea of a rescue party coming to save her? Why would she sabotage that? They didn't seem to hurt her before? Too much anyhow. Why not just leave now that you have them on your side? They don't attack her. This is just stuff that sounds cool, but it doesn't make a lot of sense. So why is she hiding here? I mean, I guess we could have been, raiders or whatever, but still, this is just stuff that sounds cool, but it doesn't make a lot of sense. So since she doesn't want to do the Terran Armada's bidding, she did this and didn't use it to her gain at all? Why not? It's not fully explained either, but fuck it, it's Bethesda writing. So after this encounter, we go to the station's main systems to shut the place down and screw up the manufacturing facility for the Terran Armada robots. She's been using and studying something called X-Tech, a mysterious and new material in the Starfield universe. And this can be mined to the Spacefarer's gain in terms of upgrades for items, and is pretty damn neat, actually. We'll go over it later. So we get some X-Tech and upgrade Delta's EMP capabilities, and they couldn't even mocap a proper animation for this shit. Oh, so that's how you do that, huh? Swell. So now we can stun Terran guys. Moving on to shut this place down, and we do after massacring these Clanko scum jumping down from their coffins, which is pretty rad. When leaving, we see this janitor that's dead on the floor, and for some reason, she can't comprehend how this happened. What? You specifically coded this to happen. Is she stupid? Did the writers just forget about this? This happened a minute ago. Probably 5 lines above in the script they wrote. So now we deliver Roxy here to Void, and she's effectively just another prisoner now, for Void. Sorry. This is where Rada Dawan here tells us that now that we have Roxanne on our team, we can really dig into the black boxes and extract more data. But she sends us out to get other ones instead of using Roxanne to dig into the ones we already have. What? She says she's curious that what data we can extract of black boxes now that Roxanne is on the board, but refuse to put her on the ones we already have. Can you spell padding? These boxes should have a lot of information, like a lot of them the same, I'd imagine, so why not use them? It gives me horrible nightmares to play this game sometimes, my children. Jesus wept. These boxes should have a lot of information, and a lot of them the same, I'd imagine, so why not use them? It wouldn't be a problem if the dungeons were something special, but they're really not, sadly. And after this, you're told to build X-Tech extractors for each faction of Void, which we do, and it's a chore, but we do it because we want to be such a goody two-shoes, and I desperately want them to love me. Again, just repeating shit that isn't interesting in the slightest. Before we leave, we upgrade Delta one more time and...
That doesn't. Delta's EMP abilities should work far better than before.
Wow, such effort. And you might think I'm a little bit of a nitpicker for stuff like this, but it's what makes the world feel alive. 2 years, basically, they worked on this. And they couldn't even brush the dust off the mocap equipment to make a single new human animation for some tinkering on this piece of scrap. I'll pull from my magnum opus and the intro for the Starfield critique. What's missing is soul. I know the game is large. I know there is enough content to fill a small lake as long as it's as shallow as a penny. But the quality, the effort, and the attention to detail is what makes or breaks any project of this type, and surely Bethesda isn't blind to this. So now we grind those black boxes and also meet Lillian Hart, the mother of Cora. This isn't related to the deals, this is just a random encounter, but telling her to get out of here and take a vacation and finally go see her daughter. Then we take her away from her on a suicide mission to fight an army. She sees no problem with this, by the way. She's a free soul. I don't know. Might be a good time to mention that these dungeons fuck you over as soon as you reach the black box. It walls off previous used pathways and rearrange how you were supposed to escape. It's supposed to add some fun, I'd imagine, but it's just mindlessly weird. And it creates some frustrating exits, especially when you set the fucking thing to go nuclear. So you're on a timer, or so it feels. It won't explode unless you actually leave, which is lame. So after you get the black box, you set the whole place to explode, and now you have to run out and do it fast. You have to do it quick. And the game just shifts the whole place around you for no reason. So now you're stressing out, and the one time you actually want to use your scanner's navigational system, it doesn't work. They just drop it. It doesn't show you anything. The one time in the whole game I felt like I had a proper use for it, and the game just takes your scanner and wipes its ass with it and laughs at you. Why? Why are you like this, Todd? Todd! Also, sometimes there's zero-G fights, which are fun. That is all. There's also some dungeons that put you into like a tiny little entrance area that you then have to load out of to get to the main dungeon. Why? Why not place us in the dungeon proper, the first load? Who designs these places? And why does this tiny cell need to be loaded out of? Why? Why?
I hope you're staying safe in the Star Sea.
That's not how you say that. Already, they've found the Unifier, the Terran Armada's ship, and we're going there to take them out. So that's what we do. And since we built the X-Tech extractors for the factions earlier, they help us during the fight, and it's kind of epic. These factions are helping us. There's nothing special about it, but the sheer scale of it feels good. I just wish there was an asteroid field or something that we had to like navigate between and through, like we do in the random encounter sometimes. That's my only complaint here, basically. Other than that, it felt pretty sweet, this grand battle. Nice. We do some fun combat inside and reach the bridge. We're finally face to face with Admiral Belewa. Why? Who, you ask? Well, the leader of the Terran Armada, of course. And at this point, you'll feel like you've missed a ton of cutscenes, slates, and otherwise, information media like that, which would have like amplified this meeting. Some prior meeting would have helped, where you really set the stakes, the tension for the final battle. Some prior meeting to really set the stakes, the tension for a final battle. No, nothing. This is it. She's a bitch to kill, but we kill her within a minute, and that's it. The same with Void, by the way. It feels like there's a ton of information and lore missing that you should know, but there's really not. So when you meet these people, you kind of meet them, and you get a pretty quick and runabout way of like them introducing themselves. It's just very weird. It feels like you're missing a lot of content, which is strange. They've had so long to write a compelling group of people, characters, the groups they're in, the enemies, the big bad. Why have they not made anything that is remotely interesting? None of these are interesting at all. So this doesn't really help you when you want to immerse yourself in the universe, the factions and the lore. It's not that it's the most crucial thing in the world, but it's still missing, and as a result, it doesn't feel as impactful or fun or meaningful, which is the problem of all of Starfield. So when I say Terran Armada is more Starfield, it means it in the good and very much the bad ways. So at the end, we're met with a choice. The ship controls all the robots. From here, we can rewrite their code, update them to turn on any human being they see. That's what they're gonna do. Effectively, also the people in the Terran Armada group, some civilians might be lost as well, or not. This is simply so that you can grind some more X-Tech the fun way, and a talk that occurred earlier played on my mind.
We have seen with our own eyes, there are not just Terrans working in their midst. There are people, and we have no idea why they are there. Were they forced? Have they lived among the Terrans their whole lives? Do they know the full scale of what is going on? Go ahead. Tell me, if you can. I don't know if everything Void is telling me is true. But if there is a way to spare those that can't protect themselves, then take it.
So, we went all soft for Roxanne and did the right thing, I guess. And that's it. That's the DLC. Actually, hold on. Remember what I said earlier about the Ryujin Industries guy being like a hack fraud? Well, there's a whole quest about trying to find a leak of information, and guess who's to blame for it all? This guy. We know these guys can't be trusted for shit, and him being there at all doesn't even make a lot of sense. So we arrest him, and that's it for him. And that is the final conclusion, in my opinion, to Terran Armada. $10 for this. I guess the price is fair. It's got around 10 hours of content, most of it repeating, but all in all, it's around the price point of like the Pit from Fallout 3. Granted, much has changed in the landscapes of economics, game development, and, well, the world since that point. And it might be just me being an old man at this point, but that wants a more story-focused thing and more meaningful stuff to do in my video games. But I feel like Terran Armada is lackluster. Not for all the reasons we've gone over just now, but more so due to the long wait we've had to suffer. 18 months for something that feels thrown together at the last minute. I suppose most of the work has gone into the free lanes and the many points of interest creations and quality of life improvements the game has gotten with this major update. They've done a lot. They've made Starfield better, I'll have to admit. But the time it takes for these updates to trickle out of their backed up piss faucet takes away from the excitement, awe, and praise it should be getting. Look at the newly released Crimson Desert and how they push updates like their lives depend on it. Now look at what Bethesda does when a majority of their players on the PlayStation system are suffering game-breaking bugs and crashes. We'll push an update next week. Next week, you launched a broken product to a whole system. You don't even seem in a rush to fix it so people can play it, which they paid full price for, basically. People pay you for this software, and the reasonable expectation for it after 3 years of running on other consoles is for it to fucking work. Call me old-fashioned, but I want the shit I pay a premium for to bloody work. I guess Bethesda really is just doing shit over and over and over again, even if it comes to their own development cycle. I'm sorry, Bethesda, but I'm more disappointed than upset. But, despite Terran Armada being kind of butt, there's the free lanes to talk about. Going over space traversal in our original breakdown of Starfield, I went all sourpuss over how Bethesda created a wicked starship system to only give it no reason to exist. Customizing, decorating, and messing around with ship parts and upgrades are nailed down to borderline perfection in Starfield, and when it comes to using your ship, you're simply never allowed to. Or rather, you're far better off just skipping the ship section of the game and just teleporting to whichever backwater location you want. Also, the ship's main purpose was to be used as a glorified storage dump, and that was about it. The best mechanic of the game, as I said in that Starfield critique, had no reason to justify its existence. Now, with free lanes, has this critical point been remedied? Yeah, I suppose it has actually, kind of. Because I'll tell you what, you little freaks, now you can play the game for hours in your ship, or rather in space, in the titular Starfield. I've done some digging, some exploration, and some testing of the system. What does it do? Well, it opens up the small box we were confined to in the original game, and that's now gone. With cruise mode, you can break free from orbit of any planet, moon, or place of interest and start traversing the solar system you're in. Doesn't matter if it's littered with dozens of planets or moons, or one sole Chad of a planet dancing around a fiery star. And with the combination of an updated list of point of interest locations and encounters, there's tons to do now. The Starfield has finally opened up, and you can explore it like you can any other planet, system, or area. I took it upon me to spend some hours and not touch down my barkers on any planet and just enjoy space. I went to friendly systems, hostile systems, and even empty systems, as I decided to name them in the end. Will it blow your mind in terms of changing the type of game Starfield is? Absolutely not. But to me, it actually made the game feel more whole as a whole. So let's break it down. Free lanes opens up any system you're in. I'm not quite sure how it works lore-wise, which is the most damaging part of this whole thing, but now ships have the option to go FTL, faster than light. But, as we're not told exactly how the grav drives work, or their full capacity, and seeing as when we travel between planets in the same system, we don't pull the grav drive warp. It's open to debate that the grav drive can push any vessel at ludicrous speeds. It doesn't break the lore, it just puts a lot of questions to how powerful these drives are, or these ships in general. When cruising, you're free to alternate the speed of traversal between all the planets in your current system, be it moon, star station, point of interest, or even the star itself in said system, which I found pretty interesting. Why does it matter? Well, like I said, you now have a completely different game on top of the previous Starfield, because out here you can stumble upon traders, mining opportunities, random interactions, dogfights, creepy grandmas. Most of this, I think, is attributed to Bethesda's push on these random encounters or interactions, and that goes for the planet side stuff too. They've tweaked how many times you can see a repeating structure, and it seems to have added a bunch of these points of interests. Now you plot a course if you're not free-handling this bitch, and you go to where you want to go. During this, you can lean back, set the speed you want to, even set it to a low burn, and go talk to your companions, fuck around with upgrading your stuff in the back, jerk off, or simply just do something productive as your once-an-hour break from being a sweaty gamer. It's a win-win. Not only that, you can meet stuff on your way to whatever destination you got set up. That being a ship appearing, someone attacking, or just random thing that pops up that catches your interest. It seems like these are also randomly generated and will just pop up randomly, which is fine. Overall, you know what, I can't deny it. They have overhauled and done some good to fix the space problem in Starfield. Spending hours up here makes sense and feels somewhat intuitive, though it's rather confusing to navigate sometimes, which made me question if I was going back where I came from a lot after having encountered something. If you're not going anywhere, that doesn't matter, as stuff will randomly generate while traversing, but if you're heading somewhere specific, I felt thrown off a lot. A pretty big gripe, and probably my biggest one, which is surprisingly positive news for Starfield. Todd did it again, that crazy bastard. It doesn't matter, if it's good, bad, or absolutely atrocious. He did it, and he'll do it again. The addition of the new material X-Tech has added some endgame benefits that are quite fun, seeing as you can now use this material and small fortune of credits, mind you, to attach legendary effects to weapons, armor, and even get some ship upgrades with this stuff. And even though I'm not a big fan of the looter shooter effects applied to these guns or armor in any looter shooter, like I don't like looter shooters, it's a somewhat fun addition to become ludicrously overpowered through the system. Remember the days when a unique weapon was an actual unique weapon, design-wise, effect-wise? Sometimes even had a unique story relating to it. Those were the days. You can re-roll whatever you don't like, and if you don't get it on the 5th try, you can just simply, the game will throw up its hands and be like, yeah, fuck it, just pick whatever you want. Because why should any game be hard or in any way give you some pushback? It's all supposed to be a breeze. Let's get into that for a bit, actually, because recently Todd went on to say this.
Because what game players want to is, I'll play it and then I'll make a new character. But sometimes they do that because they realize they made the wrong type of character. And as a designer, you don't want that to happen. So some people, when we get this comment in Elder Scrolls, like, oh, you simplified it. Like, no. We moved those choices into the gameplay so that you don't, make this character in the beginning and then 8 hours later realize you make a horrible mistake. And so, okay, I'm going to start out like that. To me, is a really, really bad experience.
And I'll be honest with you, lads, I don't like it. Games are supposed to push you back a little, and it seems for every entry they do now, they don't want you to feel a little bit sad, but that you did a choice wrong about your character or whatever. And as a result, that has leaked over to choice and consequence for their games as well. No choice has a lasting, impactful, or memorable outcome. Most of the outcomes feel the same because, God forbid, someone feels bad about a moral choice they had to choose from, where both of them weren't great from the beginning. That's the bee's tits. Having your choice feel like it mattered, like you really did something. But now everything just feels inconsequential and flat, sterile. If choice is a smokescreen for the bad writing, just remove the choice altogether, because then we won't be all pissy about it. We would have had something to say about the writing still, no doubt, but, at least stand by your game design, storylines, and whatever. The performance is now worse, and the game crashes significantly more often, I've noticed. There's new collectibles as well, by the way. These are fun, but they don't add a lot. There's a lot of quality of life updates. There's outpost stuff, new companions. You can even upgrade your starboard powers without having to go to New Game Plus. You can transfer stuff over to a new universe if you wish, which is absolutely great. So, conclusion, if this is Starfield's last major update, would I recommend going back in, or would I recommend it in general? Yeah, I guess I do. I do recommend it going in for a completely new playthrough, I suppose. Has the quest structure being altered or fixed in any way? No. Has the writing improved? Definitely not. Is the gameplay improved? Yeah, but the moment-to-moment gameplay wasn't really Starfield's biggest problem. It was all the stuff in between most of the time. And while the game is somewhat of a chore in between the okay to good parts, it's still Starfield. And Starfield is a game only worth playing if you're meeting it on its own terms. That being low expectations, kicking it back, and understanding that it's mostly an exploration game, and understanding that Starfield isn't like Bethesda's other games in terms of structure. Cracking a few cold ones or lighting up a smelly one might improve your experience. Will I go back and play more after this? I don't think so. Unless a new DLC drops, I think my Starfield time has come to an end. It's just so slow, in a way that's almost the right pace sometimes, but it just crosses the border to boring more than not. It doesn't matter how many points of interests you insert, how many new planets or whatever generated stuff you cram in here. It's the handcrafted content. That's the draw for most people, and what is here is, as we've gone over extensively, not too great. It's time to focus on the soul, Bethesda.